So to the House Speaker of Dade Phelan, who led the charge against you, it got personal, and at one point you suggested, or your allies suggested, that he had been drunk on the floor of the Texas House in your famous pink building. We have the video. He apparently was outraged that you said that he was drunk. Here's the video, and maybe our viewers can assess whether you were right.
Campbell sent an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair has none. The amendment is adopted. The chair recognizes Mr. Johnson of Harris. Mr. Johnson of Harris to speak in opposition to the bill.
You want Niabe? Chair recognizes Ms. Niabe Criado to speak.
The chair recognizes Ms. Niabe Criado to speak in opposition to the bill.
Thank you.
So what language is that? Is that Hungarian, Esperanto? I didn't understand. Like, what was that?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Wow. Man, I've been drunk, but I hope I didn't sound like that when I was shit-faced. Jesus Christ.
How is he standing? He has to be.
Dude, he's a Texans. They could go all night.
You know, I agree with Tucker later when he said, I actually kind of feel for him because you don't get that drunk in public unless there's something really bad going on. And
I mean, if you have to get that drunk to get through a Texas legislative session, you got a bigger problem than just being drunk in public.
Yeah. I mean, some people I was talking about earlier, some people that he actually seemed like he had a medical condition. It's that bad. It's like, ugh, good Lord. So that's what Ken Paxton or whatever appeared to be facing.
Dude, that interview I really recommend everybody at home watch this Tucker interview with Paxton because it covers so much, and it's not that long, but it covers so much of the problem that we're going through today, Eric, right?
Yeah, well, and it's chilling too, because I didn't realize how these sons of bitches can manipulate the law to such a degree that, think about it for a second. He's completely exonerated, but that doesn't mean the damage wasn't done. He was taken off the board completely.
How they did it, though, is really the story. What he gets into he got acquitted, which is fine. He's back. But how they took him off the board, blocked his money, got him out of the office.
That's what I'm saying. Because they used the law to, and that shit shouldn't even be possible. It would be the equivalent of when Trump was impeached, that he was removed from the presidency. That's in essence what they did.
No, but also the hearings were in secret. The investigation was all secret.
And then
he didn't know what was going on, Eric.
Yeah, they leaked it. He was under a gag order, so he couldn't say a thing. They were leaking every day, drip, 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 with the Dallas Morning News and the other daily papers.
That was like after the impeachment, he was under a gag order. What he says is, up until the day he was impeached, when he got the information, he did not know what was going on. Yeah. He had no clue. They had secret investigations that nobody ever mentioned to him what was going on.
Star Chamber stuff, baby.
Wow. And now he's back. I hope he comes for them. I hope he really goes for them.
He seems to be wanting to come back swinging, and there was even a tease about him running against Cornyn to take that Senate seat.
Right.
But I don't know. I hope he fulfills what he had started.
Yeah.
With the same attitude.
Yeah.
Because the guy was really working it hard.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good guy. I mean, he's one of the handful of these super MAGA aggressive guys who know the system inside and out. And he talks about how Biden secretly lent lawyers to the operation from the federal government and how the Bush people conspired Karl Rove and the Bush people conspired with the Biden people to take down the MAGA Attorney General of the state of Texas, who won by a landslide against a Bush. Right? Wasn't it? Which was that? The
C. Bush, I think it was. Or
is that the Brown Bush? Is that the Mexican Bush?
One of the Bushes. I don't know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I think he was I think he's Prescott. I don't remember, but
right.
I also love that, Karl Rove. Remember Karl Rove was Darth Vader for the news? And it's like, no, he's completely in line and beloved.
How about the fact that Rove published an editorial in the Washington Wall Street Journal, and then when he goes to respond, Paxton, the Wall Street Journal says, no, sorry, can't do it. I'd like to know, I want the answer to that. The one question I want to know from the Wall Street Journal, who rejected a response to Karl Rove's editorial and why. They refused to give him an answer. Forget about the state of Texas. I want to know the Wall Street Journal's policy on not allowing the Attorney General of the state of Texas to have an op-ed.
Well, maybe you could ask the new guy, because Rupert Murdoch stepped down.
Right. Okay, we'll get to the new guy. His son, Lachlan Hootin' Tootin' Murdoch.
Now, supposedly Lachlan is the more conservative and slightly less crazy of the two, but I don't know. I don't
know. Yeah, Lachlan likes models, so that's always a problem.
I wanted to share something real quick. People, are sending us stuff in on Twitter and things like that, and I thought this was pretty cool. UPenn CT sent this. I've never heard of Trevor Loudon, but he put together a nice list in 2020 of 65 communist, socialists, and security risks in Congress. And
we're going back in time, brother. We're waiting for the new McCarthy to come out for McCarthyism 2.0, and I don't mean Kevin McCarthy.
No.
We're waiting for a 2.0 version it might be Matt Gaetz, it might be a Massey, it might be somebody. But somebody's got to step up and start a purge in Congress of naming names as to who is a communist and has communist affiliations in the United States Congress.
He's got a good start here. Some names you might know from your home state: Adam Schiff, Ted Lieu, Karen Bass.
3 good ones.
Maxine Waters.
That's a good one.
Alan Lewithall.
That's 5. That's right out of the box. But I was telling you this story about Karen Bass. It's about 68 degrees here in LA. So because of global warming and the incredible, this is in her announcement on Twitter, due to global warming and the intense heat that's melting people here in Los Angeles, she has created yet another program called Cool LA on how to beat the heat and stay safe. Now, it's almost October here, and there's a crispness in the air, but she's decided to give a free air conditioner to every resident of Los Angeles. And there's no mention in there. The irony is, I said to Eric before the show, there's 2 ironies. One, all these people are going to get the free air conditioner and put it on eBay, which is what they've done before with these giveaways, these socialist giveaways here in Los Angeles. So you're going to see, and I'm going to follow up on how many of these air conditioners end up on eBay.
Besides your own?
Besides my own, because I'm going to get one and put it on eBay. The other thing is, nothing will break the grid in Los Angeles County faster than giving every single person a new free air conditioner and have them plug it into the old buildings that they live in here in Los Angeles. And that might be their intention to break the grid. It might be a backdoor attempt. Now, keep in mind, about 2 years ago, they started advertising on TV for free thermostats, smart thermostats in your home.
Oh, yeah, so they can control.
Whoa. I'm like, whoa. Don't step on the joke. So they put it in and they said, you can control it. You got to see the ads. I wish I had the ad. You can control it with your iPhone. You come home. They show this guy. He's exhausted. And he's already turned down the air conditioner with his iPhone as he's driving home.
Sure.
And they said, we will install these for free, these smart thermostats. So after a year of this, when the summer came around, these people started complaining that the temperature in their house was 85 degrees. And then they found out that they were controlling it from a central headquarters in the Soviet Politburo.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't they have the same programs for Nest cameras on the doors?
But that wasn't as draconian and sneaky as this campaign to put in a smart thermostat for free to every resident who stupidly bought into it and then controlled their environment.
Well, and I would argue too, this is the really funny part. You're talking about the grid with the AC units. You're already straining the grid because they're trying to make gas illegal and all electric cars. How the hell are they going to get charged? And then, hold on, by making the gas cars illegal, guess what they can do? They can get in cahoots with the car manufacturers because all these electric vehicles, most of them are connected to the grid, or they will be. And just like the thermostat, you could get a whole alert like, oh, you maybe have been driving too much this month, Mark. You could drive tomorrow, or you could drive on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
But that's way down the road. They're going to plug these air conditioners into the wall as soon as they get them. It's going to blow the grid in the building itself. They have a bunch of 1930s, 1940s buildings out here that are fourplexes and sixplexes and eightplexes that are very old, that don't have air conditioning because it wasn't invented yet. And this is going to blow not only the buildings are going to blow. And then I think it may spread to entire neighborhoods, because we've had that here in LA just from air conditioning for the past 15 years in the summer, where they've had to shut down neighborhoods in brownouts because of AC. That's what got
Schwarzenegger elected on the recall, was Gray Davis and the rolling blackouts, if I recall. It destroyed Gray Davis.
But adding 1 million air conditioners overnight, I can't emphasize this enough.
Brilliant.
How much power this is going to pull from the grid. This is going to be very exciting. Okay, now on with the show. I just wanted to get that out.
Okay, well, I mentioned the list of the communists from a New Zealander, and I would say that New Zealander obviously would know what a communist is.
Right. This woman, she's not the prime minister or president
Thankfully.
any longer. Right. This is her speech where she talks about at the United Nations that free speech is an act of war, and how we have to stop free speech. And she goes on and on and on. It's not a slip of the tongue. This is a very carefully thought out attack on free speech, which is they consider to be a type of hate speech. Free speech is a type of hate speech. And the T-shirt that I'm going to have made up is free speech is an act of war. And that's in her address to the United Nations. I mean, this is stuff that Stalin or Khrushchev wouldn't say, or Castro when they came, or Yasser Arafat would never say. This is from a what is it? 7 eyes or 6 eyes? Country?
5 eyes.
5 eyes. Is New Zealand one of the eyes?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's one of our 5 eyes allies is now floating this out there as, I assume, some sort of trial balloon, but she definitely believes it. I mean, she was a young socialist. She went to the International School of Karl Marx or something. Why New Zealand was determined to elect her, I have no idea. But they get to these positions of power through nefarious means sometimes. So I don't want to throw the people of New Zealand under the bus, because they had one of the most draconian lockdowns.
The worst.
Yeah.
And by the way, no, she's one of the WEF proteges, along with Justin Trudeau and others. Klaus Schwab has specifically bragged about them, saying, I've got this prime minister, that prime minister. It's so dark, dude. So dark. And of course, he even dresses like the freaking emperor in Star Wars. They're not hiding the ball.
No.
But let me see. What do we have for next? Okay, well, you sent me this earlier. Perhaps our top law enforcement officer will, prevent that kind of thing from happening.
Dude, okay, so both him and this is the new thing. We were watching this yesterday, me and my friend. We're watching Fetterman crying and then Garland crying. So these are men who seemingly cry not when your wife is kidnapped and beheaded by terrorists. I mean, that's some guys just break down, or their children are killed, God forbid. They break down sobbing. These two men, Garland and Fetterman, begin to cry when simply being questioned about their policies. This is a whole new thing, my friends. And it's obviously what a girl would do to fend off an attack. She'd start crying, and the boyfriend would go, "Please stop crying, please. All right, I'll get you that dress in the window. Okay, stop crying, stop crying." So the fact that they asked him, are conservative Catholics terrorists, which is the memorandum that he issued that led to FBI raids on Catholic churches, he flips out, saying, "How dare you ask me that, Eric?
Let me
How
see.
dare you?" Go
Let
ahead.
me see.
Go ahead.
You agree that traditional Catholics are violent extremists? Answer
I have
the
no
question.
idea what the traditional means here. The
Catholics,
idea. Let me
Catholics
just
that
can
go
I
to
answer
church.
May I answer your question?
Yes
the
or no?
idea that someone with my family background would discriminate against any religion is so outrageous, so absurd.
Mr. Attorney
It's hard to
General, it
even
was your
answer
FBI
question.
that did this. It was your FBI that was sending, and we have the memos, we have the emails. We're sending undercover agents into Catholic churches.
Both I and the director
This
of
is
the FBI
the
have said that we
director of
were
the FBI.
appalled. Have said that we were appalled by that memo.
So then you agree
The
that they're not extremists?
We were appalled by that memo.
Are they extremists or not, Attorney General?
I think that
Are they extremists or not, Attorney General?
everything in that memo is
Are they
appalling.
extremists or not? I'm asking a simple question. Say no if you think that was wrong.
Catholics are not extremists. No.
Wow, it only took a minute, and crying, and
decency. Have you no decency at long last, sir? Have you no decency, you piece of living crap? I mean, this guy is such a piece of crap. He all of a sudden starts talking about his grandmother escaping from the Holocaust. I don't know if his grandmother ran for a touchdown for UCLA, but to use that, so somebody smarter than me once said that patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel. Well, in a lot of ways, citing the Holocaust out of the clear blue sky or anti-Semitic stuff for no reason is kind of like the last refuge of a scoundrel, especially when you're not talking about it. I mean, this is the same shit that George Soros does, or his acolytes, when he's attacked. This is a atheistic, pro-Nazi Jew hunter, George Soros, who on the 60 Minutes interview bragged about working with the SS to track down his Jewish neighbors. But when he is attacked for political reasons, his acolytes cite anti-Semitism as against his critics. This is the same thing. Yeah, this is the same thing with Merrick Garland. What a shameless piece of shit this guy is. I mean, I think the Attorney General's office has reached a new low.
That's true, but you brought up about crying in public, and you named another name, so we can't let him off the hook. Here we go. He's got. I think this goes into a deeper issue.
Right.
When you're trying to break down a country and a culture, you break down everything that's culturally decent about it. And I think that this dress code, well, it's like, okay, people can wear what they want, whatever. This just breaks down the fabric of the institution by disrespecting.
Fabric's a good word there, Sigmund Freud. Good word, fabric.
Thank you. But that's the way I see it. It's like the whole, we're just going to tarnish it and disrespect it and devalue it's already been devalued so much, but let's at least complete the picture, if you will. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you have the photo of what he's wearing his next day, his short pants and crazy crap outfit. Okay. I want to know. Okay, here's my question, and a lot of my friends have asked me the same thing. You could wear a denim shirt like I'm wearing. You could wear blue jeans with shoes. I mean, that would be leisurely.
Polo.
Khaki, right. A polo shirt with khaki pants. That's not what he's doing. He's trying to undermine the sanctity and power of the United States Senate by making it into a joke. That's what he's doing. He's there as a mentally damaged, whatever he's supposed to be, lurch, wearing this incredible schmata outfit of rags to undermine the integrity of the Senate. And now the second in command under Schumer, the Democrat, has come out to denounce this because it's become such an embarrassment. I think Klobuchar from Minnesota is wearing sneakers now in support of him. Big deal. She's wearing sneakers. Who gives a crap? But the reality of it is, this outfit he's wearing here, he could have worn a dressed down leisure outfit. He chose not to do that. This is, I think it was, I forget what senator said it, but she said, I think I'm jokingly, Republican senator from Kansas said, I'm going to be wearing a bikini on Monday to the Senate. This is the equivalent of wearing beach wear to the Senate offices.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He's a slob. And then, what was it? Kristen Sinema kind of went the other way. She was dressed like Mary Poppins or something. It was this weird outfit, and I don't even know what anybody's doing.
Well, do you have the video of him sobbing? Do you have that? I don't know.
Is it in this article or no?
I don't know what article it's in, but he broke down sobbing, saying he has mental problems, and he feels sorry for people who've had these their whole life, but now he has them, and he shows his iPhone with giant words, and he says, "I need this because I can't read or write." But he's a United States senator, so that's helpful. I mean, his whole storyline is so preposterous and so ridiculous. If he had had a impediment, lifetime deformity, a lifetime disability, nothing you could do about it. You can run like FDR did with polio in a wheelchair, right? But when you have a stroke like he has had, and he admits he had a stroke, and he admits that he can't read or write or understand English, you got to go. You got to go. Yeah, and the fact that nothing personal, really, it is nothing personal. Yeah. I got to tell you, but you got to go. You really got to go. The governor of Pennsylvania has got to get him out of there and put someone else in there.
Yeah, it's the same way that sorry, grandma, when she's falling asleep at the wheel, can't drive anymore.
You're talking about Dianne Feinstein, obviously.
Well, there's that too. I mean, I don't know which one of them is firing more cylinders, but yeah.
Who is going to die? When do these people die? I don't remember reading an obituary of a sitting politician in decades, a sitting politician. I mean, obviously they die years later. Why do they not die in office? Dude, is there some life support system they have in the back room that just transfuses their blood, like that van that Hillary Clinton had that they put her in the back, and it had like a whole medical unit in the back of that van, and then she had in her basement an entire hospital?
I don't know. Maybe have you seen the movie Dave?
Oh, Dave, interesting. But I have seen Weekend at Bernie's.
Okay, well, Dave is with Kevin Kline, where the president dies, and he's a lookalike, and he got a job, and I don't know. You sent me something.
Yeah, yeah. Take a look at this.
Joe Biden, Robin X, is that you? Joe Biden, hey Joe, are you the body double? It's the body double. Hey Joe.
Oh, the cops don't even want you.
This is the one that you see on CNN, but where's the real Joe?
Dude, what is that? What is? I know I looked at this a couple of times. It's obviously an actor, I guess, right?
Sure.
I mean, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, there was Obama lookalikes. Remember that? We had that one guy who looked just like him. And we do have the Trump impersonator, but he's not physically looking like Trump. He's just got that voice down.
I like the Twitter replies.
That's funny. That's funny.
Sorry. They're like, found another one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you see what he did with Lula from Brazil yesterday? First of all, he comes out, Lula, now the dictator of Brazil, despite other people on other podcasts saying he was going to be a nice leader. He's clearly resorted to dictatorship as soon as he got out of jail. But Biden comes out on the stage. He's Chevy Chase. It's not Gerald. He's Gerald Ford now. He's Chevy Chase playing Gerald Ford in Saturday Night Live. He comes out on stage and walks smack into the Brazilian flag, almost knocks it over off its pedestal, then gives his speech and decides to walk away from Lula, who does like a dagnabbit, does one of these dagnabbit piece of shit, get a Biden mother, and he's not happy about it, Lula.
I would guess not. Oh my God. What a horrible mess. But you know what will make me happy? And it'll make you happy.
What?
We have a sponsor.
Oh, that's interesting.
So this week's sponsor is Aura. Ever searched your name online and found your personal details exposed on public sites? That's the work of data brokers who profit by selling your info to robocallers and spammers. Enter our sponsor today, Aura. Aura identifies and confronts these brokers, submitting opt-out requests for you. By law, they must comply, but they often complicate the process. Aura simplifies this for you. With services like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, and identity theft insurance, Aura's got you covered. I used Aura and it found my info on 25 data brokers. It alerted me to 50 plus sites that had compromised my information, and it also monitored my bank for large transactions. I was a real surprise when I got alerts when I was transferring money around. Real lifesaver. This is an added layer of security that I can't do on my own. For peace of mind, try Aura for 2 weeks free at aura.com/unstructured and boost your online safety. All right. And these really count. So far, this video has not been demonetized.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I'd look again.
But
I challenge that.
But you know what? Supporting the sponsors really helps us out when, we have somebody coming in, giving us some money ahead of time. We know at least there's some money on the video before doing anything. And it helps a ton. Obviously, your super chats help. Everything helps. But it's pretty good company. And the product is very interesting and does a good job. I keep getting startled with my money transfers, but I'm thankful to have that.
Wonderful. I have a sponsor too, and that is Blind Willie McTell, the legendary hero of the blues. Blind Willie McTell is no blues slouch, Hunley. This is a guy who influenced Bob Dylan, influenced a lot of blues men. He's a legendary. There's legendary songs about Blind Willie McTell. Born in 1901 in Thompson, Georgia, McTell learned guitar from his mother. 1914 made his recording debut in 1927 after working as a street singer and medicine show minstrel. Over the next 9 years, he recorded 48 records for 4 companies under 4 different names. I guess he was on the lam. He became the only survivor of his era to make Library of Congress field recordings and post-war records for the R&B market. As well. He died in 1959. The legendary, and I mean legendary, Blind Willie McTell.
All right. And I see that, and I see you with a legendary George de Mornschelt.
Oh, he is legendary. Do we have a card for his wife, by the way?
We do not.
Okay.
We could.
Yeah, she's a co-conspirator. She was a dress designer from China, and she worked in an office right by Dealey Plaza that was run by Abraham Zapruder.
Oh, nice. Let me see. We got a super chat related to Fetterman.
Okay.
The Fetterman rule is what happens when not the best and smartest are elected. All these sobbing people remind me of LBJ. Good point. Total narcissist. Watch Idiocracy. It's happening now. Mark, do not get foot surgery. Your foot is perfect.
I've been putting it off for a long time. Yeah, it's okay. You don't want to make it worse. That's your fear. But Beavis, you're the man. Fetterman, not the man. I think it's intentional. I don't think it's accidental that a guy stumbled into the United States Senate. I think he stole it from Dr. Oz. I can't prove it. I got a feeling Dr. Oz had 100% name recognition. Fetterman, not so much. And apparently he becomes a senator of the Keystone State, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And he's there with a Democratic governor who's already doing some chicanery with the election, getting ready for 2024. So this is going to be a bumpy ride. Strap yourselves in, people.
Definitely. Blaine N, 1776. I like that amount on the donation. In honor of Marjorie Taylor Greene's in the U.S. House of Representatives, if you want to vote for it, put it in a separate bill. I wouldn't mind that.
Vote for what?
For anything. They love to put together omnibus bills.
Right.
You throw in a bunch of stuff, and then you make sure you have a clause in there to take care of the wounded firefighters and policemen in 9/11, as an example. And then you say, okay, no, I'm not going to vote for the bill because it's got all this pork that's horrible. And they go, you hate the 9/11 heroes. It's a game.
It's one of many problems of the legislative process in this country. So, yeah, that's true. Pork barrel politics has been around in American politics for years.
Yeah, and I would love to see where you can parse it out.
Yeah.
And that's where the line item veto is, supposedly to resolve it, but I know it gets to be terrible. We have another situation, a fellow creator who has come up a bunch of times. In comparison to us, Rusty Rockets.
Who is Rusty Rockets? What's the deal with Rusty Rockets?
Rusty Rockets, also known as Russell Brand.
This is the blowback on this is enormous. This is incredible blowback. I don't know if it's going to do any good, but having the BBC in cahoots with the newspapers and the government of the United Kingdom over here, Caroline Dinenage, who is I think she's the Baroness, Minister. But she's also a royalty. She's like the Baroness of Bubamaisis or something. She's the one that contacted the media, right, Eric? Or
yes. Now, this is where it gets Dame Caroline has contacted. Rumble first put it up. Chris Pavlovsky answered her letter, which is one of those just sniveling virtually letters that were like, we are aware that you didn't make the content, but are you going to be like YouTube and demonetize? And then it come to find out that she also sent one to Twitter. I love to dead name X. Right. By the way, you can follow us both on Twitter or X, and I probably won't block you. Mark might. And then she apparently also sent it to Facebook and TikTok.
Right.
Now, to the credit, Twitter and Rumble first off just said hell no.
I just interrupted. Is her name MI6? Because I don't think she wrote those freaking letters. She's just in other words, she's a conduit. But go on.
Okay, sure. Bottom line, credit to him. Chris Pavlovsky responded saying, "Up yours." No, we're not going to. Elon Musk and Twitter said the same thing essentially. Facebook said, they don't might have been Facebook or TikTok said, well, he's not making any money anyway, but we're watching him very carefully, but he's not part of the program that pays anybody.
Well, the unusual thing, as other people have pointed out with the Russell Brand scenario, is it has nothing to do with his content. In other words, being demonetized by YouTube, this has not. First of all, there's been no charges. There's some allegations of Me Too of a guy who is a admitted sex addict in recovery, according to himself, has written a book, The 12 Steps for Me, or whatever his book was, which I knew was going to bite him in the ass because he sarcastically rewrote the 12 steps as Russell Brand sees them. And I remember at the time I said, this is not good karma. And this may have come full circle on the guy. But the reality of it is going public with your addiction and your recovery always leads to bad karma and trouble. It is one of the oldest rules in recovery. There's a tradition where you do not violate your recovery, your 12-step recovery in radio, press, and film. He did that. It always ends badly for any addict who does that, who's a celebrity. But go on.
So Matthew Perry, watch out.
Yeah, no, dude. Nothing could be a better example than Matthew Perry. But there's a 12th tradition in these programs for a reason. And the reason is if Russell Brand relapses and there's a kid who's a fan of Russell Brand, that kid will think the program doesn't work. That's the reason that Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob came up with the 12th tradition about anonymity, which is the second word in the organization. So I think it's like the Second Amendment. It's pretty important. anonymity is something that Russell Brand did not agree to. And I'm not saying that this has anything to do with what he did 20 years ago, which should be covered by the statute of limitations. And I'm sure George Gascon is just having a field day ready to indict him and have him extradited to LA, because that's what's going to happen. They came for Harvey Weinstein and you said he was a fat pig who deserved it. Now they're coming for Russell Brand. That's what I said back then. Now they're coming for Russell Brand. Eventually they're going to come for everybody that they don't like politically. And they violated every single law. They moved the goalposts. They got rid of statute of limitations on Weinstein, and they made an example of him. And they went after every single person after that. But the people at home said, well, I don't like him. I don't like that guy. That's not what it's about, people. Now you do like Russell Brand, but they're coming for him. Now what are you going to do? Now the ball's in your court. What do you do as an American or a Brit who supports Russell Brand?
I'm even more. I mean, I'm concerned there, but I'm even more concerned about the government directly writing to Rumble and everybody else. And people are like, oh yeah, Chris Pavlovsky, he said shove it, and he told them off. But it's like Rumble already is banned in France.
Yeah, they're going to be banned in England.
Yeah, I mean, odds are pretty good that they'll get banned in the UK. And
right.
You know, eventually these things do matter. It does add up.
Of course it matters. With the social media world, this is where we are, is now a battle to the death between Musk and Pavlovsky versus Zuckerberg and whoever the hell is running Google, whoever the hell is running Google and YouTube, that Indian cat who's a commie. So you now have a split within the social media world where the guys on the left are going to say, good, I hope they do get kicked out of UK. I hope they do get kicked out of Italy. There's more money for me there. You know, they'd be happy if these social media companies are kicked out of these countries.
And by the way, that sadly, this is the bright spot, because at least there's a split. There wasn't a split before. Everybody is marching the same course. Now it's like everybody's going the same direction, but some are taking the longer route at least.
Right. But I'm saying even the split benefits the Zuckerbergs and the Google Indian guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But we'll see. I mean, he did something with a 16-year-old in England, and Megyn Kelly had a meltdown. Even Viva went after Megyn Kelly in some insane logic. The age of consent is 16, by the way, in England, whether you like it or not, people. That's the law in England. Not that, that it's not the United States. It varies around the United States.
It's 16 in a lot of places. 17
it's 14,
all over.
It's 14 and 13 in certain Mexican states. So when they come here, this is just our situation in the United States. When they come here with those values of, I don't know, for generation, the age of consent is 13 in Sinaloa. Now I'm having sex with a 14-year-old. What's the problem? I'm from Mexico, bro. The point of the matter is, in England itself, it's 16. So Russell Brand is being charged with having sex, 23 years ago with someone who was 16 when he was 30. And anyway, Megyn Kelly had a complete meltdown, and then Viva went after her on Twitter, calling out her hypocrisy. She literally said, I don't care what the law is. This is the neurotic woman's rant that should be immortalized on the bottom of the statue of whoever, Harriet Tubman or Bella Abzug, more appropriately, with her hats. The reality of it is that neurotic rage that they have regarding their perceived sex crimes, the first inkling of this is, I don't care what the law is. That's why we're in this position right now. That's why we're in the position of allowing a Marxist like George Gascon to go after his enemies here in LA, and they're going to try to take him down like they did, what's his name, who was in Romania, Andrew Tate, on those trumped up charges, like they did with Julian Assange in Sweden on trumped up sex charges. This is an old tool of the deep state, people. It's not about sex. Remember that. It has not, but you don't understand, Mark. He may have raped a girl in Brooklyn in 1958. Forget it. It's not about sex. It's a deep state takedown of a political enemy. Thank you.
On that note, Dennis Prager was talking with David Pakman, and yes, we are demonetized at the moment. Thank you. Anyway, that didn't take long. Anyway, he was pointing out to David Pakman, he was this incredibly smug leftist, very difficult to stand, but he was talking about
the former Treasury Department guy.
No, he's a young guy. He's a YouTuber, and he's a leftist. One of the bigger leftists, like Kyle Kalinske, Krista Ball's husband. There's a few of them.
Right.
Anyway, Prager was talking about the moral obligation that if he was in Germany in pre-World War II, he would have lied and been deceitful and anything else to stop that guy from coming to power. And he said, so technically, just using that logic, if you really think that Trump is that guy, then that in of itself is a bit of proof that things may have been manipulated to cause his loss. And I thought that was a really perfect parallel, because I keep saying over and over and over that it's going back to Karl Popper and Punch a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying here with the laws, everything else, everything there is going to that. Like, oh, well, the laws aren't effective, so we have to go above the law or beyond the law because we have to do the virtuous right thing or whatever it is. And it turns out that's evil. And the most evil people in the world tend to be the ones who are motivated by what they think is good.
Right. Well, as we said last week, I mean, the left is, the communists are willing to die for their beliefs, and the Christians are willing to vote. So there's a big gap in what you're willing to do to preserve your status quo or state or society. If one side's willing to die, like the Weather Underground getting blown up, making bombs, versus somebody who says, yeah, I'm just going to call my congressman and let him deal with it. That's a big gap in your desire to change things is what I'm saying.
Right. And what I was trying to point out was that the fact that they're godless, and I don't think people quite understood, makes it even more scary, because you have a person who doesn't see, they're not going to be getting 70 virgins. They're not going to be getting anything. They're not going to any kind of beyond, and they're still willing to die. That's dark. That is like,
yeah, that is kind of weird.
It's like, are they so soulless that they're a machine in their brain now that it could just be turned off? I mean, I find that actually frightening, because at least, I'm not fond of terrorists. Obviously, they're very frightening, but that's even more frightening, because even the terrorists feel like they're going somewhere.
Well, if the religious terrorists, but the non-religious terrorists.
72. I lost count.
So, they're very. That's funny.
2 were late.
Well, what else you got on the big board there, Hunley?
All right. Well, we've got a mayor in Washington who has to call the police because of those right wingers.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. Yeah, I saw that. Again, these are delusional people. She should be arrested for abusing 911. Yakima is a pretty old city up there, and they seem to find politicians who look like her, who are crazy people, absolutely crazy
and cheap. These are great little testing grounds.
Yeah.
That's the part. We can bitch all day about Soros, but you still have to respect the guy or know what he's doing. The idea that funding DAs and small town people and stuff like that can have such massive damage for very little money, it's huge.
It's a great idea. The brilliant move by Soros. And, Paxton pointed out how they had gotten these people on the appellate court in Texas, who are Republicans and are owned by the Bush family. And they're deeply entrenched in the courts in Texas. If you've got, 2 different generations of presidents, people owe you a lot of favors. So one of them is John Cornyn, who the Bushes put him on the court, then made him a senator, and now he does their bidding. And that's how it works in spades in Texas. And, Paxton, to get back to Paxton for a second, they both agreed that this is on the brink of becoming a Democratic state. And Paxton said, if we lose Texas, we lose the country, because we could never recover the electoral vote loss by losing Texas. So the next war is going to be fought politically in the state of Texas.
I agree. It was getting really close in Florida.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we managed to claw back.
Yeah, they got to get this. They got to get this wheelchair Willie out of there. And I think that Abbott, despite the Cornyn thing, has to run for governor of Texas and control this state. Like
you mean Paxton? Abbott's
what did I say? I mean, Paxton has to come in and become the governor of Texas. Forget about national office. Paxton knows how these wheels turn within the state of Texas, and I think that's where he could be the most effective to our needs and cause as a society right now, because he's got to bring in the National Guard at the border. I mean, that train load of immigrants on the train the other day looked like something out of India during Gandhi's time. That train just going through the states with thousands and thousands of migrants on the roof. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I mean, I don't care what footage you look at. There's footage all over the internet of just tens of thousands of people pouring in as if they opened the doors of Studio 51 in 1975.
Yeah,
Studio 54, rather.
I didn't even think about that. I could agree, because he knows all the people in Texas, whereas nationally he'd have to get introduced. And
he's got to stay. He's got to hold the fort in the state of Texas. And I'm going to put my hat in the ring right now. Forget about my support for Kinky Friedman back in the old days for governor. I am now switching my support from my old friend Kinky Friedman to Ken Paxton for governor in the great state of Texas.
And he can go 1 or 2 terms as governor. Then he can be a senator. Then he can go on.
Yeah, he's a young man. He's a young man. The amount of power that he can wield in Texas to repair the damage that's been done is enormous. And he seems to know how to do that. He could get one of his friends to become the attorney general. It could be his wife, for all I care. I mean, we've had situations like that in Texas.
Or brother. No.
Or brother.
Nationally, no.
But Texas is now, and I hate to use this analogy, but it's the Alamo. I mean, it really is the Alamo, Eric, at this point, and as a democracy.
Yeah, no, good point. Let's go through some super chats. John's channel with 10 pounds. Mark or Eric, what's your views on G. Maloney? I know she's non-U.S., but this is a U.S. Freeform Friday. For me, she started with a good, strong message with the people, but once in power, I think she had a sit down. There's a second part. And the globalists explain things, obey, or go for the open top limo ride in Dallas, the usual American El Plato o Plomo, which is silver or lead or silver. I don't remember the order.
Who is she? The Prime Minister of Italy?
I think so. I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have to defer to my cousins who run
Italian
Untold Stories, because it's a little out of our purview.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me see. Old Men in Chairs. I missed seeing last week's show live. I wanted to know what you really thought of Biden's trip to Alaska on 9/11. Despicable.
I think I expressed it on last week's show.
I mean,
I think I said my piece about that bizarre trip to Alaska. I mean, you might as well have gone to the moon to get away from.
Yeah, and congratulations for being the first president since 9/11 to not attend the ceremony.
But he did send the president. He sent President Harris, as he calls her President Harris all the time.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, why not add insult to injury? Let me see. JFK cards as a Monopoly game. Winner gets first shot. That's a little dark.
You wonder why we get demonetized.
Yeah, guys, don't help on that one. Don't help, please. But you know what? Let's go and lighten things up here a little bit. We had this Washington mayor who looks a certain way, so I'm going to bring up somebody else who looks a certain way that is more appealing to a lot of men, and she'll even teach.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one, and she is now turning it into a business, Honey Trap Incorporated.
Yeah.
Is that photo below is her graduating from KGB spy school down below.
Yep.
But this is something that runs through all of our stories, not her particularly, but many of our stories involve honey traps, and many countries have done this going back to Roman times. So we've seen this with a woman named Marina Oswald, who shows up at this dance. When Oswald first meets her in Minsk, she literally parts the sea. When she came in, she was so gorgeous that the room literally stopped, and Oswald saw her from across the room, and she saw Oswald, and that was her target, was to get Oswald, and it worked. He danced with her at this Union Hall dance, and she was then interrupted. There was a line of 20 men waiting to dance with her the night she met Oswald, and she had her sights set on him as a Soviet honey trap.
Well, and we're going to probably be doing a series on honey traps because there are several of them. I know
we'll get demonetized just by saying honey trap, probably.
Huh. We'll mix it up and say honey pot.
Okay.
But we're consistently getting demonetized. It seems right now. Let me go through some more here. Fetterman and Biden. Exactly why I think voting is a joke.
Well, because two men are damaged doesn't mean voting is a joke. I mean, I don't know what one thing has to do with the other. I mean, these are candidates that they put up for a reason so they can control them. That's what's more important than voting as a joke. What's more important is the deep state putting up puppets that they can pull the strings on who are mentally damaged. I think that's a much more important issue.
Yeah,
the people who vote for them. You know, I was watching that woman on The View who just said we have to hold our nose and vote for Biden no matter what happens, even if he's mentally damaged or has Alzheimer's or whatever he's got. I'm going like, that's scarier, you know, having being cognizant that he's damaged and voting for him again is even more scary than the first time around, you know, when whatever happened. I mean, now they're literally saying we know that he is damaged, that he's got dementia, that he may have Alzheimer's, that he can't function. He can't even do a ribbon cutting ceremony, but we have to vote for him because the alternative of having a rational former president back in office is so terrifying to us that we now have to vote for an 80-year-old psychopath dementia patient. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I agree. We got some Rumble rants coming in here. Wow, somebody is extraordinarily generous. Art Vanderlei sent in
from Vanderlei Industries. You know, Vanderlei Industries has been a sponsor of this show since 1954, and I appreciate the work that Vanderlei Industries does. They're in plastics and some other international things.
Okay, well, Art of
Art's the president, Art Vanderlei. Yeah, he's the president of Vanderlei Industries. It's a long family business. Art Vanderlei, his father, Arthur Vanderlei. Art Vanderlei is Art Vanderlei Jr. Arthur Vanderlei Sr. Was the capitalist who started Vanderlei Industries, I think, in 1938.
Okay, well, Art is very impressed with your dental hygiene. Love you guys, Mark. What is your dental hygiene regimen? Your amazing teeth glint like the Texas sun off a rooftop sniper's scope. They are amazing.
Just going for cleanings 4 times a year. That's what I do.
All right. Seymour SR. Fetterman looks like he just left my house after pumping my septic system.
Yeah, he does look like that guy. But what I'm saying is, forget about focusing on the guy himself. He's doing this for a reason, and the people behind him are doing this for a reason. It's to undermine the integrity of the United States Senate. Just like they're allowing criminals to run wild in the cities, to get rid of the police, to undermine the cities, to use them to get rid of small businesses and restaurants in the cities, not to focus on the criminals. There's other underlying motivations for these situations, and we should look more carefully. Instead of making a joke out of Fetterman, they don't care about that. There's a bigger picture for them.
True. Freddie 65. Brand just put out a 3-minute YouTube video. He'll be back Monday on Rumble. Stay free. I did watch the video. Came out right around 6 o'clock or so before the show.
Wait, he's on Rumble. He wasn't removed from Rumble, was he? Or
no. He actually put the video out on X, on Rumble, and on YouTube. It's just a 3-minute video, and the title is "Well Ellipses."
Right. Okay. So he was demonetized from YouTube, but he's still on YouTube.
Correct. Okay. YouTube still makes money off him. Come on, let's not get crazy here.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. Here's my recommendation. This is unique congressional hearings on the business practices of YouTube by this situation here. This is what has to be used against them. And I'll tell you something else. I believe, and I had this epiphany last night, that the Biden administration is using social media because they are in violation of business practices and could be sued. And the ones holding that gun to their heads is the Biden administration that gets them to go after their political enemies. Think about what I just said, people, because YouTube is not waking up one day and saying, we're incredibly vulnerable to lawsuits if we do this. The Biden administration controls the Justice Department, and they're telling them privately, we will sue you unless you go after our enemies. And they are between a rock and a hard place, YouTube and Google. I don't think they care as much politically as people are letting on that they do. I don't think they give a rat's ass that much. I believe the pressure comes from the government, as Hunley has pointed out, that it's coming from DC and from the Department of Justice to go after their enemies. With the threat.
The Twitter files show that.
Yeah, but I think
it's out there. Yeah,
I think there's a YouTube files out there. There's a Google file.
Oh yeah. No, we only saw the one because a guy bought it who had more money than sense and released it. Right. But that's why Musk. And again, I'm not the biggest Musk fan in the world. There's good, there's bad. I'd say he's a net positive, but he's not perfect.
Right.
But what he did was huge. Releasing all that stuff was extremely important because it's just one of 4. Just like we saw with the British person, she sent letters, she sent it to Rumble, sent it to Twitter, they do it to all of them. They're not just saying, oh, we only care about Twitter or we only care about YouTube. They're obviously going after everybody and trying to pull them in line.
But I think this particular business practice, this is what I'm referring to get into the weeds a little bit, of YouTube taking the money from the audience of Russell Brand while banning him from getting money from his own YouTube videos is an illegal business practice.
I don't know that they're doing that. Now, to be fair, because I challenged somebody, I challenged people about it earlier, and they were watching Russell Brand on YouTube in incognito mode and no ads showed.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't mean they're not still profiting on him. So I still think there's a case because his popularity brings people to YouTube.
Right.
And if they watch the video on YouTube, there's going to be another video recommended to them that will have ads.
Good point.
And that person will continue to watch and click that video. And then
I believe these are illegal business practices, and an aggressive attorney general could make the case against one of these social media platforms that these business practices are illegal. And I think that the Biden administration has told them it's illegal, and that's how they get them to dance to their tune. That's just my take on it.
I get it, but I there's another problem too, because there's a terms of services. I don't know if you know this, that anybody who has under 1,000 subscribers, under 4,000 hours, which we both know because we had to get there, they aren't monetized, but YouTube is making money on ads from small creators that they are not paying.
Right. That's another part of the illegal problem. That's another part of it.
But if you sign a contract, that's the terms of service. So I don't know. I would have to get deep into the weeds. I encourage them to.
I think the state attorney generals have to get deep into the weeds, using Louisiana, Missouri, and another state to go after them, like they did with big tobacco, like they just did with the Biden administration. I mean, this is what has to be done. These state attorney generals have to combine, and that was what Paxton was so dangerous for, is to go after these social media companies on some other areas, like advertising, like denying the advertising revenue while suspending you.
No, definitely. I mean, there's a lot to go after, and I would just say the capricious application of rules. There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of stuff there. But well, this brand thing is going to be the Rubicon to see what happens here. I think this is going to be a huge case.
Yeah, I think they're getting more pushback than they expected.
Right, which I believe is going to lead to a faster indictment of Russell Brand.
Probably.
They're going to have to increase production by 2/3 down in the boiler room to get this off their backs. Because unless he's indicted, they look like schmucks.
Yeah, well, they've already increased the pressure because more names have come forward. And by the way, I don't even know that it's not true. That's the problem. Yeah. We don't know. He is admittedly in his past. I'm not going to say there's no way he never did anything. Mm-hmm. I'm of the mindset that it's. Well, you're in Hollywood, Mark. I have a question for you. Do they not have deviant lifestyle parties in Hollywood where people get involved in whatever kind of chicanery, and then that can be held against them to keep them in line later?
I don't know if that's the purpose of the party. I think they have parties and people go to parties and they don't need to be prompted, Eric. They just do it anyway.
But then they use that. It's still recorded. It's still noted. And then later on it can be brought.
I don't know. There's so many people doing so many different things over such a long period of time. That's why we had something called statute of limitations. And that has been eradicated for this purpose. You can't have a crime that just goes on for a century. You got to have some sort of statute of limitations on this. And they seem to think in this one particular area, no.
Well, England doesn't have them. So he's in trouble. If they pull it in England, he's done because they have no statute.
Right.
So I don't know. That's where it gets weird too.
The strongest case what I've seen is over here in LA, where the woman went and got rape tested, rape kit, went to therapy for 6 months, and has
just stop saying the word, please.
We're demonetized. What difference does it make?
Because I want to have hope, and I'd like to.
There's no hope, Hunley. We're doomed.
No, we're never know.
What am I supposed to say? What did he do to her? What's the word?
So just to pick another one. Just say the R word. Whatever.
Okay. I don't know how to do this.
I know it's annoying. I know.
No, it's not annoying. It's just confusing. I can't substitute. I'm not a walking thesaurus.
Thesaurus. Thesaurus. You are a dinosaur, but not that kind.
I'm not a walking stegosaurus where I know every steg in the saurus. Anyway, she's got a good case. Is the one that has the R kit. And
graped. I hate to say, a lot of people say grape.
Oh, okay. Well, if I'm going to say graped, I'll say grape.
Okay, grape. Then we'll have a fruity salad.
Right.
But yes, that is one of the strongest charges against him. Art Vandelay again. Rumble rant. This one's huge. $100.
Vandelay.
It is my birthday, and I'm playing hooky for my government job.
Good for you, Vandelay. What state is he in, by the way?
I don't know. But here is $100 to compensate you for your tax money. Can I get a come on, Bobby?
I hate this pay to play thing for this thing. I'm gonna have to pass on that.
It's $100, dude.
No, I know. I'm not a whore. I'm gonna have to pass. He'll appreciate it. He'll appreciate it. We'll give you one later on down the road. We'll give you a Bobby alert. Whore alert. Well, we'll show the glass. Isn't there a glass that has that on one of the glasses? Hunley, put that up there.
No, I think you have it.
I have it?
I think you do. I know there's one out there. I don't have it, but
I'll look for it.
Maybe I shattered
Send the guy a glass. Send him a free glass, for Christ's sakes. If we have a come on, Bobby glass we can mail to the guy. That would be a great keepsake.
Ziggy has the come on, Bobby glass.
All right. Well, let's mail this guy a glass. If he gives us his address, let's mail him one of the commemorative items because he likes it.
All right. JM, here we go. Oz had horrible commercials trying to connect to the common man that backfired. Democrat machine pilot never let up.
Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. The guy had 100% name recognition. He was a goddamn a surgeon, for Christ's sakes, versus Frankenstein. It was a no-brainer. All of a sudden, he went to bed and he lost the election.
Yeah, it's funny. He mentions the Oz supermarket commercial. That makes me think back to Poppy Bush when he was devastated. He went to the grocery store and didn't understand what a scanner was. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course, with milk. Yeah, very famous.
That was a horrible, pivotal moment, I think. And meanwhile, I worked in a grocery store.
It was
at
a brain
the time.
surgeon versus a guy with no brain. I mean, we're talking about a mismatch.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Or maybe they should have been matched.
Mm-hmm. It was Dr. Frankenstein and the monster, or Frankenstein, as Mel Brooks wrote with Gene Wilder.
Perfect.
By the way, I just got this book in the mail. It's more like a pamphlet, but I'm going to read this. It's written by Nikolai Lenin from a company called Forgotten Books. The Soviets at work. What
relation to Vladimir?
Nikolai Lenin. This is the original Soviet. This is one of the original groundbreaking texts by the communists. Nikolai Lenin, Premier, Russian Soviet Republic, 5th edition, 1919, as could be shown here on this one here. So this is apparently one cited by Whittaker Chambers from last week's show that he read that influenced him immensely to become a communist. So I ordered it just to see what was going on.
All right. Well, happy reading. I'm glad that you're going to go to the book fund to, ironically, have people earn capital through communism.
Right. Well, the book fund has delivered this also, which is we're going to have a Henry Wallace Day, Eric and I, at some point. So I'm going to brush up on Henry Wallace, who I believe would have been the first communist president of the United States. And then here's another one I got. This is The Fight for the Soul of the Democratic Party, about Henry Wallace, also another one on Wallace. But this one, thanks to the book fund, is one that's a little bit further down the line. This is about Japan's secret war to develop the atomic bomb. And nobody knows about this. And this is going to be a great episode at some point if I can get through all these books. But right now I'm working on a show about the Weather Underground. So I'm doing a lot of books that I already have. I have to go back because I know a lot about the Weather Underground. So I just got to refresh my memory about these guys.
Well, you're contemporary, I hate to say.
Yeah. I kind of lived through the, between, I think it was 70 and 71 I think it was an 18-month period. There were 2,500 bombings in the United States, and it was averaging out to more than 5 a day of bombings. And Eric mentioned this last week. That's why it triggered me, again, triggering the bomb, to go back and look at that history of the townhouse on West 11th Street blowing up, and a lot of that stuff with Bernardine Dorn and
Dustin Hoffman's neighbor, right?
Yeah, his desk went through the floor, and he was in his bathrobe when he came out onto West 11th Street. But Kathy Wilkerson and Boudin both came out stark naked, their clothing blown off of them, and they crawled out of the rubble. I guess as a teaser for the episode, stark naked. And I wish I was there that day. I'll tell you that.
I think what was it? They found a thumb of the dude?
No. There were whole bodies. There was one guy, Ted Gold, whose body was wrapped around the radiator. His skin was wrapped around the radiator, and they went in with a backhoe to dig out the building, and they kept coming up with body parts and segments of different. I think 3 were killed. Ted Gold being one of them. They tried to lower the flag to half staff up at Columbia University, and the police beat them down the next day.
Unlike now. Of course, I think I told you I've interviewed Ken Lanning, who was in the FBI bomb squad at the time. And he talked a lot about how this was going on. That was his beat.
There was one guy who becomes the Fliegerman, I think his name was, who becomes their bomb maker, and he was the only one who knew how to make bombs. Although a couple of other them, Wilkerson helped make a couple of bombs. After Ted Gold and the rest of them get blown to smithereens, Orton gets blown up, and another guy gets blown up, Robbins. They get a bomb maker to actually, but we'll get into this in the episode.
Oh, for sure. All right, so let's get into another concern that people are starting to see. Authors are coming out. It's not just authors, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's
This
a
was
huge
interesting.
legal
Yeah.
battle, and by the way, this one I could totally see it because the AI is so good at emulating these authors because you could just say, write me a story like John Grisham.
Right, but they're feeding in John Grisham's
exactly.
books.
That's how they're training it.
Yeah,
it literally it picks up the patterns, and so you can say, "Write me a story like John Grisham with this plot line, blah 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 blah," and there you go. You've got a whole book, and it's spooky.
They're not putting them out as John Grisham novels. One woman said they put it out as her book. The children's writer said they put it out under her name. I don't know if it was Judy Blume or some other major children.
I'm not sure. Is it Judy Pickle? Hold on.
I forget who it was, but they literally put it out with her name on the book.
Yeah. Well, because it's I mean, why not? You have people who are just doing this underground.
Well, it just seems that it's easily suable. I mean, if you know, Simon and Schuster puts out another book by Judy Blume, and it's not Judy Blume, they're going to be in trouble, Eric.
Yeah, but we got self-publishing now. This is the problem,
right? Okay, well, that's
somebody
area,
who hacks in there, spits out an AI book, and says, "Hey, it's this book," and they're in freaking some Eastern European country or whatever, and just selling it through Amazon.
Right.
Some of this is you're going to have to control the store and say, "Hey."
Then it's on Amazon. Then it's on Amazon, the seller.
Yeah, right. But I mean, you're going to have an entire black market. But guess what? It gets even better. I don't know if you knew about this, but we also have audiobooks.
Ooh.
And Stephen Fry was shocked to discover.
No. Oh, this is a good one. Oh my.
Yep, and he sent it to all of his agents, and they were like, "Holy shit!"
Whoa. And he's a known homosexual. Whoa,
that's true. And here we go.
What?
He was taken back by, he found a work narrating a historical documentary.
Wow.
Only it was his voice and he never did it.
What does it say what the doc is?
I don't know what it is. And it's probably smart of him not to advertise it because
why? I'd like to hear it.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm sure that's why he's not saying what it is, but we're only a step away from visual, but audio, it's getting really good. And and then as you saw from the other books, that's really very well done too. And the written word is the easiest.
Yeah.
Because they could totally emulate it. There's nothing in there. Audio, it's not perfect yet because there's still some tonality, but they're getting better and better and better and better and better. And yeah, as somebody here, P4 said, you need to feed in a close impression of the guy first and it corrects the recording. Yeah, but when you have an entire Harry Potter series of books where he's read, 18, 20 hours,
right,
and even doing different characters, different modulations, etc. You could definitely.
Whoa, Stephen Fry.
And and Stephen Fry's a great actor. I mean, really entertaining to watch. Good public intellectual.
A known communist.
True.
A known gay communist.
Yeah, true. Isn't that redundant? No, I'm just
maybe not. I don't.
I mean, actor, communist, pretty common.
Totally woke.
No, he's not as woke.
Really?
No. Go watch the Monk debates. No, he's actually come out supporting Jordan Peterson, defending Jordan Peterson, totally against the government and the woke culture. So he might be a communist in terms of policy, but not wokeness.
Okay,
he's the opposite.
All right, go Fry.
Let me see. The Real Terry. Hey guys, question. Did you see the pictures of Prince William standing next to the former mayor of New York, Mike I am Rumpelstiltskin Bloomberg? What a photo op that should not have been.
I don't understand what that. I mean, he's a short guy. Bloomberg, he's done a million of these photo ops with taller people his whole political life. I don't know what Prince William has to do with it. The one I like is with him and Will Chamberlain. Now that's a problem.
I keep seeing this shot coming across my feeds, but I still enjoy it. And it's Wilt Chamberlain, Andre the Giant, and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Arnold is like swinging between them like a little kid.
Well, the best is Aaron Judge of the Yankees and the second baseman cheating weasel from the Astros, whose name should go unmentioned. I mean, the cheating weasel Astro is like 4'11", and he stands next to Aaron Judge occasionally when Aaron Judge gets to second base. So there's a lot of these photos of the two of them together.
Which is great.
Aaron Judge and the cheating weasel Astro.
No, cheating weasel Astro. Is that the official
Everybody
name?
knows who he is. Everyone knows who that weasel is. I'm not going to give him any oxygen here. They stole the World Series from us.
Okay.
So that'll go unmentioned at this time, that weasel.
All right, then. Owen Jones. If Democrats can change the rules so Fetterman can wear his dirty gym shorts in the Senate, can Republicans change them if they ever win again to force Democrats to wear MAGA hats?
Yeah, I mean, again, every single tradition they can find that started under Obama, every gentleman's agreement, every tradition, every loophole has been violated by the Democratic Party. So, yeah, I guess you could shift back a lot of stuff that they've changed. A lot of it was handshake agreements that people had as a tonality of how to run a Senate operation, but they have violated every single thing because they want to take the power and the integrity out of institutions.
We got a lot of locals tips. Let me go into some of these. Guilty as Jumbo said, here's my homework.
Guilty as Jumbo. You don't even get that's a great law. What a great name. Guilty as Jumbo.
Yeah, we met him. He's Alex. He was at the VIP meetup.
Right. Great. I
Really
didn't know
cool
that was
dude.
his name. I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah. Anyway, he said, here's my homework. From what it seems, Frost is a star-studded phony Santa. Now, he's put a couple pictures on Locals, so folks, join Locals so you can see some of this stuff.
Who's he referring to, Frost?
You asked for pictures of Father Frost.
Oh, right.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
And people have been delivering on Locals.
Oh, my. I didn't know that. I just got back into town. I've been in the woods.
Well, this one, he has two pictures of him. One of them is with Father Frost and a child cosmonaut on his shoulder.
What? Like a real photo?
No, it's a painting, like a drawing, like the
okay. But
Christmas.
Is that like what the real Father Frost looked like? Because somebody put up a real photo of a Father Frost. I saw one photo.
Yeah, I believe there's multiple. Let me see if I can get it to share. Hold on.
He looked like a cross between
like Father Christmas,
Right. Oh my God, that's great.
I love the cosmonaut there.
Right. That's wonderful. Kind of like an Asian cosmonaut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Mongolian, kind of has that.
Right.
Slavic.
Well, is that his rocket in the back there? Is this?
Probably.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's great. And of course, the dove for peace. And just to show you, we're peaceful.
There you go. They're very, very, very peaceful, very happy. Anyway, So American sent a tip. Great show Tuesday. Keep the message coming. The USA needs simplicity and directness to understand how the communists infiltrated the nation and today control the executive administration.
Yeah, we got to just get really simple with this stuff and not get into the debate that they want to have, that I'm a liberal, I'm a socialist, I'm a Marxist. That's all smoke and mirrors, bro. We just have to call them all commies, keep it simple, let them squirrel around, yell that they're not commies, fuck them. You know what I mean? Just let's keep it simple and go at them from that angle and start using names against them like they've done to the other side for so many years. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Let them prove they're not a communist. Let's paint them with a red brush and work backwards, folks.
By the way, I do have to point out that is not a new thing. I grew up with people who were just saying, yeah, you're a communist. They're a communist. And they would say Democrat, not communist, liberal, communist.
Right. No. So but a lot of us, I used to laugh at that. And now I'm the guy saying it. When I was going, listen to that old geezer yelling, everyone's a commie. How do you like that? I was 18 years old. Now I'm the one saying it. But I mean, they were right then, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was, they were nuts.
Alehouse 20 said, and the answer to the AC power outages will be Gavin's Green New Deal.
That's what I think. I think this is intentional. I think there's intentional. It's the same with they're going to ban the cars, gas-powered cars, and then Detroit is going to be between a rock and a hard place, because what do you do about the largest car market in the country, Eric, when they outlaw, fuel engine cars? I mean, what do you do? I mean, do you just go, I'm not going to make it? I mean, what if you drive into the state of California with a fuel car? Do you get stopped at the border?
Even more, what about freight? What about trucks? Semis,
Again,
that's a big one. I mean, it's like, okay, cars are one thing, but what about things that are delivered? And
I don't know.
Have refrigerator trucks? I mean,
they have decided to phase out gas stations. They're just going to have these charging stations. I talked to a guy the other day. He, off the cuff, he said he had it wasn't about the car. He said he had an electric car that doesn't hold a charge very long, is what he said. I don't know what that means. I don't know the model. And he said that he was supposed to take his daughter to lunch. He was in the car to Pasadena, couldn't find a charging station. The battery was super low, and he realized he couldn't take his own daughter to lunch. She had a meltdown, started screaming at him about not being able to take his own daughter to lunch. So this became a microcosm issue that I looked at. This guy just telling me the story of him with his daughter. He didn't even care about the electric car.
Sure.
I just thought this was a great example of just what people are going to be forced to deal with. Mm-hmm. He couldn't make it from Hollywood to Pasadena because there were no charging stations close enough. And he didn't know if he could make it. And I'm going,
traffic's probably so bad that you're running the power out while you're trying to get down the damn road.
Now you got it, Hunley. Now you got it. You can't judge how much electricity you're going to need for your car to make it from point A to point B.
No, and that's why I'm so disturbed by the plug-in electric vehicles, because I have a hybrid. Okay, I've had a hybrid for a while, and I followed them for a while, but it's gasoline hybrid. It's got a battery.
That's what I'm buying. That's what I'm buying.
Okay, there's another version that is an electric vehicle.
I know.
Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead. Yeah.
There's another version that is, instead of a gasoline motor, it's an electric motor, but it has a gasoline generator within the car. So that goes even farther, and it still works because the generation will charge it, whatever. Then there's the versions that you plug it in, or I don't like getting into plugging in the wall. I like the car to be completely self-contained. So I don't care if it's a gasoline-driven motor or if it's an electric motor with a gasoline kind of generator backup that you can plug in if you want, but you're not dependent on it. I don't like the full Tesla route, I hate to say, because the full Tesla is 100% plug-in. You have to plug it in or you're screwed.
Right. But here in California or other places, you may be on the road in a traffic jam, which is usually the case, and you can't get off. You just can't get off to charge a car. So we're now seeing in these traffic, regular rush hour things, cars running out of juice in the middle of the 101 and the 5 and backing up traffic for 10 zillion miles.
Yeah, you have to have a pull-off lane. You have to have a pull-off called the EV lane where they're broke down.
Those lanes are filled with construction. There's every sign says, no shoulder for the next 800 miles.
Oh,
so there's nowhere to pull off. Yeah, they thought this through. They really thought this through.
Yeah, it's like you're being herded into the cage like the tiger in the jungle. Ale House 20. This is a valid question. Are Mark's cards just the blind legends of the blues?
No, but there's a lot of blind bluesmen in that deck. There must be 15 or 10.
Is there a reason for that? Have you ever looked into that? Because that is is it nutrition problems?
They said it was masturbation. That's what.
Shit. Okay, there it is. Okay.
I don't know.
I totally understand.
Blind Willie McTell, the Blind Boys of Alabama, Blind Lemon Jefferson. We used to have a phony one called Blind Mississippi Driveway was a phony blues name that we came up with.
Blind Mississippi Driveway. I love it. Bighorn Shaver. Eric Hunley has upped his game with the media today.
Whoa.
Okay.
Go Hunley.
Thank you. S. Mandel, if you guys could wave a magic wand and amend the Constitution, what would you guys change?
I guess voting. I would get rid of the Voting Rights Act, of 1965 because it is thoroughly segregated to one party. In other words, all of the legislation that has come out and from the Voting Rights Act of 1964 and 1965, which was intentionally good-willed, has now become a separate voting rights scenario for one block of people that votes almost 100% for one party. That's the problem with the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And that should be eradicated because it's now been used for other minorities. But the one minority that it was used for, if they voted not in a block, I would say that it was constitutional. I think it's unconstitutional simply because they vote as a block. And I've never heard much about that idea. And I'd love to talk to Barnes about it at some point because I know he's got an opinion on that. But I believe it's unconstitutional simply because that group votes almost 100% Democratic.
I think I'd get rid of the Commerce Clause.
Okay.
No, because that has empowered the federal courts to take over the government.
Right.
I mean, literally, they're like, oh, it's Commerce Clause. They drive so much traffic through that stupid clause. Mm-hmm. And everything kind of ties into that. Because, and you know what? Let's give it back to the states a little bit. Mm-hmm. Let's have 50 experiments again.
Okay.
Or fewer. So that's mine. I'm actually reading the Politically Incorrect Guide to the Constitution right now.
Oh, my God.
In my spare time. Fun stuff. More locals here. Church fart. Welcome at many places.
Say what?
Church fart sent a tip. Even without the jacket and tie, Mark still looks dapper and has no resemblance to Fetterman. You look good too, Eric. Thank you both for another great show.
Wouldn't it be great? We have Fetterman on as a guest and we're just dressed casually and he's got a suit and tie.
Well, they did have a picture of him in the suit and tie. And it's
that was obviously photoshopped.
Very funny. Okay, USA Now. Reminder, they're not migrants. They're illegal. Agree.
But you could still migrate. Right? Am I wrong? Or you could still...
Well, it's a play on language because...
It's not saying you're illegal or illegal to say you migrated from Africa to Florida.
Well, if you get in there legal, anyway, whatever. We've been hiding from the term illegal alien. Then it became illegal immigrant. Then, so it's like this padding of language to shift people off. So,
well, as Barnes has pointed out, it's in the law that it says illegal alien. So it's not.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the
illegal book. Term. Yeah.
Right. It's a legal term of illegal alien. So it's not like you're being bigoted by saying that.
No, but you'll be called that. As you know,
right, that's weird.
Mr. Scott Awesome. What's eating Mark's grapes?
What does that mean?
I think it's
is that a take on what's eating Gilbert Grape?
Yes, and the fact that we're using the word grape anyway instead of grapes. Pasha, thanks guys for keeping us all on point. Remember, if we hit that bullseye, the rest of the dominoes will fall like a house of cards.
God, I hope so. They're quite tenacious.
That's funny. I'm not your buddy guy. The left do have gods. They worship 7 deadly sins.
That's funny. That's funny.
That is true. Christ Kulai. Hey guys, love the channel. Curious if Mark ever had any encounters with Robert Anton Wilson, Cosmic Trigger, Illuminatus, etc.
No, I haven't.
Not sure who that is. Okay. I totally agree with this. Paxton's lawyer, Tony Busby, is amazing. What did you think of him? But the fact that Paxton was acquitted of 16 of 14 along the party line shows the corruption. I saw the close, and the close was powerful. I don't know if you saw Tony Busby's close when he said, this is the end of the Bush regime as part of his closing argument.
Might be wishful thinking because all those court-appointed judges are part of the Bush regime, as is John Cornyn, who's in the Senate. So
it might be, but it was his statement, and it did lead to an acquittal.
Right. Okay. But I mean, there was no evidence that he did the crazy things that they accused him of.
True. Well, evidence? Is that a requirement on a political trial? I mean,
you got to have something. I mean, they seem to have cut this out of thin air. These charges were insane.
Yeah. Well, we currently have a president that's getting some trumped up charges, if you will. BTK, don't forget to shop at Chicago's government stores.
Right. Well, it's coming to that, BTK, because of the mayor of Chicago, who is going to create government stores to replace the private stores that were run out of town because of the lack of government police to guard the stores, because they defunded the police, and now the stores have been overrun and robbed. I believe 3 Walmarts and Whole Foods have left the south side of Chicago in the past year or two. So there's been a vacuum, a sucking sound of these food stores leaving because they're not sustainable as businesses. There's no law that says you have to put these stores there, Eric. I mean, they could go wherever they want to make a living.
Oh, I would almost say the ones who are demanding them, force them to own them, because that'd be my requirement. It's like, okay, you want the store to be in the neighborhood, then everyone in the neighborhood, you have this percentage of the store. Now, here you go. Good luck to you.
It'd be great if it was Costco and they all had a membership card and they started to fight the robbers themselves. You know, the Costco members.
That's an answer. But that's an answer. Let the people freaking.
Oh, look what happened in Philly. The steakhouse in Philadelphia, cheesesteak place, hired 2 armed guards with AR-15 automatic rifles to stand in front of the restaurant. This is what? Excuse me.
Semi-automatic.
Semi-automatic. I take it back. Yeah. 2 guards with some sort of uniforms, with semi-automatic rifles to guard the entrance to the store. And this is a private company hiring private people to guard their store because they've been robbed so many times that they can't stay in business. This is where we are. And I would recommend that. I
think we need to. Absolutely. That's why we have a Second Amendment.
I think that not only should supermarkets do it, I think Macy's should do it. I think Nordstrom should do it. I think the shopping malls should do it. You know, that's what they have. And I remember, I'll tell you this right now. I was once down in the Dominican Republic, and I was working on a script doing some research about Sugar Bowl, which is their baseball down there in the Dominican Republic. And I went to a supermarket, and in the meat department, they had men with machine guns, with automatic weapons, so semi-automatic or automatic.
They're probably automatic there.
Yeah, they were guarding the meat department. They had guards in front of the supermarket. And I said to the guard in the meat department, I said, what is this all about? And he says, the elections are tomorrow. And traditionally, one side loses, they riot, and they always go to the meat department and steal all the meat. So we now have and in front on the streets were artillery. They had artillery on the streets. They had soldiers guarding the supermarket, and they had particularly soldiers guarding the meat department of the supermarket, which I was in the Dominican Republic. That's where we are now. That was 20 years ago when I was down there in Santo Domingo researching a script called Sugar Bowl. That is where we are now, people. We are Santo Domingo. We are the Dominican Republic, because that's what we're being forced to do, is put military style guards in front of our businesses in order to survive.
I'm also okay with the hidden carry people who are interspersing. You never know where they are.
Oh, I'm
good with that too.
That's a good idea. I like that one.
So yeah, you can.
The thing that's the easiest is the Groubert security device, which I still strongly urge the business owners to use. The lock door panic button that calls 911 and locks the offenders in the store. Now, you could use the more expensive version of the Groubert security device, which they have at Harry Winston's in New York and De Beers diamond stores, and a lot of diamond stores have it. It's the vestibule that locks on both sides. You go into the vestibule, it unlocks the other side, you come in, same in reverse. So they could get out the door, you're in the vestibule, they have to push a button internally to let you out. I would strongly recommend that other more expensive version of the Groubert security device, for those who are really serious about stopping these strong arm smash and grab robberies that net like $300,000 in merchandise on occasion.
Oh yeah, and you've got the technology too that you could have an automatic locking thing with the RFID and different things like that.
Yeah.
Let me see. Treasure Header 100. Mark, do you think the politicians who disclose UFO knowledge in office, like JFK, get taken out because of internal monetary policy?
I don't know about that, but I remember Clinton saying he can't wait to get in there to see Project Blue Book. Every president keeps saying, forget about the JFK thing. This is before the JFK thing ever happened. Every president would say, and this goes all the way back, like we talked about with the senator from Arizona, Barry Goldwater, who wanted to get in and see what the famous commander of the B-17 had at his place at the Air Force Base. The situation has been the same. I don't know what's in there, but apparently nobody ever reveals it, so we don't know. Now this guy in Mexico found a couple of dead aliens, so I don't know what's going to happen.
I still like the birthday cake.
Which one is that?
They have like those aliens as a birthday cake. I don't know. I have trouble believing in the alien bit with those. Mark, love the 1972 watch and bracelet. Please tell people to vote.
Vote.
And Beavis Wallace coming in hot.
He's back. Whoa.
Oh, and he's back a couple of times, by the way, I see. Hunley, if you're under duress, blink many times. Otherwise, let Mark say the damn word. Free speech, brothers.
What is the word you're... Oh, that word. I see what you're saying. Thanks, Beavis.
Yeah, these pile up.
Beavis Wallace, of course, the illegitimate son of Henry Wallace, the vice president of the United States, who was running for the presidency, was knocked out by the Democratic National Committee back in 1948. Beavis Wallace, obviously doing well, not a communist.
Well, and here we go again with Beavis here. Another $100. Beavis is very generous.
Obviously not a communist.
No. The goal of the commies are to destroy all police, all restaurants, all small businesses, and gas stations. The reason for that is to convert all basic necessities to government-run facilities to control us. Absolutely true.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And I've been saying that in every variation I could think of for a number of years now. It's become quite apparent that's their goal. Thank you for saying that, because the reality of it is they made the building of new gas stations here illegal in LA County. The reason that LA County is so important, it's the largest county in the United States. It's over 10 million people, California being the largest state. What goes on here tends to drift into Texas, as the Texas people have pointed out, and others have pointed out, it goes across the nation. So it's a good barometer and a good canary in the coal mine as to what's coming to your neighborhood theater in the next couple of years. So the banning of gas-powered cars, the banning of gas stations, the free distribution of air conditioners, the rent abatement so you can't be evicted, the fact that you don't have to pay your electric bill anymore. It just comes and nobody's paying it. It's backed up by the city now, by the county. If you don't pay it, they now have a deal where people pay like $50. You know, your electric bill might be $500 here. You just throw them $50. They can't turn you off by law now. Cannot disconnect you. This is where this social but they gotta look at this. You're not going to get it in the LA Times. They're in on it. I mean, that's why I like being here, because I am in the war zone. I am reporting to you as a war correspondent from a society that's going from capitalist to communist in front of our eyes. Unfortunately, we don't have that many eyes on this here, because everyone who's looking at it is in on it. So when I see this stuff, I mean, I'm going to come on here and say it, because it is happening so fast here, it'll make your head spin.
Yeah.
I mean, they now have these ambassadors who go around replacing the police, trying to tell people to, stop the carjacking, and they're getting beaten to an inch of their lives. These are ambassadors wearing yellow vests instead of police. And they've got the psychology team that comes in a hostage negotiation. They're trying to talk off, in a hostage situation. Come on, drop the gun. Remember, your father used to beat you as a child. It's no way to act. Come on, Antonio, Drop the gun. Let the wife out. I know you wet your bed as a kid. We could talk about it.
Okay.
Not even exaggerating.
All right, Basil Beshkov, call them cheap labor, not illegal aliens at all.
Good point. CL.
Just me. If you lived during the 70s, the world today feels like deja vu all over again.
Well, as Hunley pointed out, it's not even close to the way it was in the 70s. I mean, they were blowing stuff up 5 times a day in the 70s. And it starts in like 1970, to be exact. It really isn't even the 1960s. The bombings by the Weather Underground and FALN and the BLA and SLA and all these different groups were all over the map, all over the country, in every city in the country. These bombings, if you had it today, people would shit their pants if this was going on today.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
hundreds of pounds of dynamite were stolen from every construction company, and maybe your father had dynamite in his place, Eric. But they had so much dynamite stolen that each state had to pass laws saying you had to show ID and have all this stuff to buy dynamite.
Yeah,
that came from the Weather Underground. That's why. That's why.
Yeah. All right, Carl Burkhardt, predict all Texas border counties will go red in 2024. People are peeling Beto stickers off their cars. The anger is tangible. That's good.
But I agree, but they have 5 people living in those border states, border counties. The real, which he alludes to, Paxton, and I've said a million times, Houston. is Houston and Travis County and San Antonio wait till all the votes are counted and then dump their votes. I believe that legislation must be passed demanding that the larger the county, the earlier they have to report the votes, not the reverse. The larger the county, you hold back the reverse. Listen to me. You hold back by legislation the other counties in your state. The legislation is simple. The bigger the county, the earlier they got to report. What happens after you report doesn't count anymore. So Travis and Austin must turn in their votes, let's say by 9 o'clock. And then you go in a scale that the smaller you are, the last time the later you have to report. There's an idea for somebody.
Right. Or another one is that all votes are counted in that day, and they don't wait until that day to start finding them and counting them.
But the smaller county will turn it in. They'll have the number that they have to trump. That doesn't help. Once they know the county's done, that a small county is done, they can trump it because they know that's the final total. That ain't going to help. What I'm suggesting is
everywhere is done that day, including the big ones. That's important.
Right. But I'm saying once they add up before the day is done, Eric, before the day is done, once the smaller counties, which they usually finish in 20 minutes because it's a smaller county, that's a finite number. All you have to do is add up the smaller counties and you know what number you have to beat them at by the end of the day. The end of the day doesn't cut it. The same laws applied in 1948 when Box 13 was used by LBJ down in a southern San Marcos down there with his gang. The reality of it is, with my idea, the bigger counties have to report first, and they're going to kick and scream. But that's the beauty of the legislation. Let's go on.
All right, Poindexter Hunley, interesting name. You guys.
That's his brother's name. That's Hunley's brother's name, who is a rocket scientist who works in Birmingham, Alabama, at the NASA base. We were going to go visit him when we were down in Mobile. We were down in Montgomery. Poindexter Hunley, thank you so much for loving your brother.
but not subscribed yet.
Right.
So close to subscribing.
Let me tell you something. If you do not subscribe and end this incredible reign of terror that we've been going through, and I mean reign of terror, like that bell, let's get this over with, all right? So we can move on, get the 100,000, so we can move on with our lives, and we don't have to ask for you to subscribe any longer. I mean, if you're in a nursing home and you feel that the colostomy bag attached to your side is painful, ring the bell for the nurse and then ring the subscription button at the same time.
There you go. And while you're at it, borrow the nurse's phone and subscribe on that too.
And have a shot of morphine on me. Or dilaudid. I mean, if you can find some dilaudid, that's even better.
All right. And this one's a confusing request. Colonel Lansdale wants a deep dive on himself.
That's dark, bro. Yeah, we're going to get to Lansdale. He's on the list. I just got a Lansdale book. No, I did. I just got 2 books on Lansdale from the PayPal book fund, but I got to get to them. You know, some of these I'm using audio combined with PDFs combined with hard copy books. So,
all right, and Beavis Wallace coming in again.
Oh, Wallace. I mean, if you get sent to jail, we're finished, Wallace.
No kidding. Book cash fund for Mark. What I tell my commie friends is once the government takes over all basic functions, say goodbye to your computer and electronics. You'll be given enough electricity to light a single bulb for a couple hours. Stop the commies.
Absolutely. Stop the commies should be our new mantra for 2024. My other, is this a different one? No. Stop the commies, the great mantra. The other one obviously was, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? The old Reagan thing for Trump. Which I think he did come out with a few weeks ago.
They're kind of doing it, yeah.
Right, they're kind of doing it, but stop the commies. I think that would be brilliant in its simplicity, would have a touch of humor to it, and would infuriate the fuck out of them. It's a brilliant slogan, stop the commies. In fact, that's gonna be the name of my new band, Stop the Commies. It's gonna be a takeoff like on Rage Against the Machine, Stop the Commies.
Yeah, sounds good.
Steve, I just want to add, Steve Gibb down in Miami has a band called Kill the Robots. So
yes.
not so weird.
All right. Pasha said the little girl with frost is the snow maiden.
Oh, sure. That's what you call her. I've seen some of the websites you follow. That snow maiden, that's what a grain of salt.
All right. JD55, if you think the gas station carjackings are exciting now, wait for people in Chicago having to sit and charge for an hour.
Oh, they're sitting ducks
for the community.
They're sitting ducks. The reality of it is, it's so funny because they never had carjackings in the old days. You know what they had? They had guys who got into a car that was parked in the middle of the night and they knew how to hotwire cars. These mutts don't know how to hotwire a car, so they take out a gun, put it in your head, always at the gas station, and carjack you because they don't know how to steal a car. They should be sent to car stealing school to learn how to hotwire a car. That would reduce a lot of these violent carjackings. Just another idea.
Well, that's
another good idea.
No, one of the ironies in Chicago right now is that they're suing Hyundai and Kia, who both have been found that they could be hacked and hotwired easier.
Oh, weird. I didn't know that.
Somebody made the comment, I think it was Steve of Southern Law, saying, yeah, they really hate not having the carjackings. So they want to get that fixed to get more carjackings back in place.
Right. I think LoJack should come with free cocaine and call it Blowjack, but I'll explain that next week.
Right. Well, Christ Cool, I said, regarding Blind Bluesman, heard it was from
I've heard that too. I've heard that also. I've heard that too. That is possibly the reason.
All right. Carol Sutz, makes sense, a way for blind guys to make a living. I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is true. I mean, why don't you ask Ray Charles about it? Ask Stevie Wonder about it. I mean, it's not just these old blues guys from Mississippi. There are guys who are blind and very famously became musicians.
Yeah. Well, options are limited. It's government dollars for auto strike to have e-car only produced. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's right. There will be reason number 912. You have to get the Democratic administration out of Washington.
JD55, Oprah and Obama pretend to be from Chicago. Why don't they open the grocery stores for the starving, yet often obese people?
Apparently, West Virginia, that's 40% obesity rates. I read in the paper yesterday. 40%.
Mississippi?
They're number one with a bullet. 40% in West Virginia. I mean, what are they doing down there?
I know Mississippi had that for a long time.
Yeah, well, West Virginia's passed them by now.
All right, well, dubious honor. Machiavelli sucks to go. It would stop real fast if they got lit up. That's talking about the security arms and undercover.
I see. Internally.
Concealed carry.
I think simply locking the door And watching them on video running and smashing into it repeatedly, I think that's worth the price of admission.
Maybe it's a little CS gas in the chamber.
You don't even need the gas. Why complicate a simple program? People get, well, how about a machine gun that comes out of the thing? Everybody's like saying all this stuff on Twitter. I mean, all you got to do is lock the door and the word will spread through the hood, because these are organized gangs, by the way. This is not,
of course.
Yeah, these are gangs that are organized. One of the things they did in LA was immediately eliminate the gang task force as part of LAPD. The gang task force used to focus on the first word of their name, gangs. Now there's no gang task force. Why? Because they had double secret probation of racism. Among the racist LAPD, nothing, according to them, was worse than the gang task force, because they went after gangs. So now the gangs are looting everything in sight in the county.
Good point. Good point. Dustin, sitting next to an alien plane spotting at O'Hare Airport. He says electric cars are so 1990s.
Interesting. Yeah. Sitting next to an alien
plane spotting. I think sitting next to an alien, plane spotting at O'Hare Airport. He says electric cars are so 1990s.
I just want to point out, thanks, Russell. The people who are living in O'Hare Airport, I don't know if they get to see this show, but they have put thousands of African migrants in Chicago, one of the largest airports in the world, which is O'Hare. They live there now, just so you understand. At some point, they're going to take over the stadiums, because that's next, and it's got to be a dome stadium. You can't just put them in an empty stadium in Chicago like Soldier Field. It's going to have to be a dome stadium. They're going to live in there. That's going to be a facility, and I'm waiting for that to happen. So the airports are gone, and now the stadiums, if they're domed in your city, stand by.
All right. BTK, collection for bulletproof gear for Mark.
I just want to tell you something. I have more bulletproof gear, except for Kevlar helmet. So if you want to raise money, I need a Kevlar helmet. I got everything else. But yeah, I'm loaded for bear down here.
All right, the real Terry. Or Terry's right on track, because we're getting to the end here.
You're dreaming, Hunley. As soon as you say that, these people are going to try to get in these super chats at the last minute.
Well, Oswald is saying.
No, it doesn't matter about Oswald. It's going to be, who was the guy on the Saints? And people would tell me this, who had a half a foot and kicked the 63-yard field goal. I mean, people in the chat know who it is. Had half a foot. That's the guy who's going to send in the last super chat today. I forget his name. Had half a foot with a boot. And I think the boot helped him kick that 63-yard field goal. All
right. Well, here we go. Jenny is getting inky with it. Jenny is behind, an hour behind.
Okay.
Regarding the Italian Prime Minister, check out Sovereign Nations, Michael O'Fallon. He has concerns regarding Italy and Hungary, that they aren't what they seem. Well, there you go, folks. Check them out. That'll tell you what you need to know about.
It's not going to happen here.
Right. So that's for the audience. All of you who are interested in Italy,
right
here, go check them out.
I could barely handle the news in my own city, let alone my own country, let alone a foreign country across the pond. I just don't have enough time in the day to worry about internal Italian or Hungarian politics.
All right. So, okay, we've got just a little more last tip on locals.
You're full of it.
Last tip on locals. Hold on. Trap door at the exit. Dumps the punks into the basement cell. Bread and water diet.
Okay. Again, complicating a very simple idea, but I'm in support of this also.
Hey, come on. Why can't people get inventive? You can have like Rube Goldberg contraptions for criminals. I think that's fun.
I think once we develop the Groubert security system, we can expand it into some of these more inventive designs.
All right. Last two Rumble rants. No snipers in the nest. Hard to believe it's only 2 months until the 60th anniversary. Can't wait to hear Mark's shows on Oswald, maybe a 3-parter. Lots of dots for Mark to connect for us. Thanks for all the great shows. And also thanks, Mark, for reawakening me to 11/22/63. I wrote a paper in school in '83 saying it was a conspiracy. Teacher said it was well-researched, well-written, totally preposterous idea. I feel vindicated.
Well, the guy was a schmuck. I mean, and so is the book by 11/22/63, that retarded book by Steve. What's his name? The horror book writer.
Stephen King's horrible.
Well, he wrote a book called 11/22/63.
Oh, I know. He's just nauseating anymore. I'm talking about a guy. He needed to get back to drugs. Sorry. Alehouse 20 sent a tip in saying it's Tom Dempsey.
Oh, Tom Dempsey. Thank you.
And here, right on
half a foot.
Galveston County Mike. Mark is our G2 Intel Officer of the Day.
Dude, I couldn't make it out of the Sea Scouts when I was like 8 years old. They took me and we went on a trip we went on a nuclear submarine in Philadelphia, and they told us 1,000 times, don't touch anything. And Sheldon Walensky, this fat guy whose father was the commander of our naval unit to go on the submarine, must have touched something as soon as we got on the sub, because all these alarms went off and we got kicked off the sub. We had to go back to Brooklyn in a school bus with no talking. All the way back to Brooklyn because of Sheldon Walensky. And then everybody beat the living shit out of Walensky when we got back to Brooklyn.
All right.
That was my military experience.
As they should. And on that note, what do we have coming up Tuesday?
I have no idea, Hunley. No, I don't know. I really don't. It depends on how far I get with these multiple themes here. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
All right. Well, on that note, folks, you can always follow us on Locals, unstructured.locals.com. I'll be doing a grill stream there.
What?
I'll be uploading Mark's weekly interview on the radio.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one yesterday with Greg Boudel down in Montgomery. Thanks.
I'll also be uploading exclusive to Locals for paid supporters, a show that I've decided I'm not releasing on YouTube, where I did statement analysis on 2 of the Russell Brand accusers.
Okay, that's weird.
A little bit hot for YouTube, but I'm going to put it out on Locals behind the paywall. Anybody who's a supporter there can watch that. And from time to time, if there's something that's just too hot, too touchy, I'm just going to release it to Locals. And thank you to all the folks who are supporting us there. And as I said earlier, if you want to follow me on Twitter, and I probably won't block you. I don't block many people. It's maybe a handful.
Probably that's one of your deficiencies, Hunley. You got at my school of blocking, which I run in Lim, Ohio, we go through all the different methods of professionally blocking people on Twitter. There's over 122 methods. So I urge Hunley to get a scholarship to my University of Blocking.
There you go. He blocks as quickly as he blinks. And I get to hear about it.
Hold on. There's one more super chat, Hunley. I see it on the corner. There's one more. Don't let this guy out because he's going to get pissed off.
No, there's not.
Okay. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well,
all right. I got to get off because somebody's calling me at 4:30 from Dallas from a conference down there, JFK conference. So I have this call coming in about 2 minutes. So I got to get off.
See you everybody on Tuesday.
All right. Goodbye.